Hello, 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 and welcome to episode 206 of Prog Review. And if you haven't read the description, I'm talking about this album here because today it's the 12th of October, just checking, 2013, which makes this the 40th, count them, 40th anniversary of Selling England by the Pound by Genesis. And it kind of, the planets have kind of aligned, you know, because I did this Genesis thing. And we round it off with the 40th anniversary of Selling England by the Pound. Now, I couldn't have planned this. It just happened. A happy accident, a happy coincidence. Now, this is a Saturday morning. Trust me, it's almost 1 o'clock and time for lunch. So if you hear any background noise, it's because the kids are around. So I'm going to blunder through this the best I can, and hopefully you'll enjoy it all. So yeah. 12th of October 1973, the album was released. It's the, well, I don't know, how many albums is it? Fifth studio album released by the band. It never used to be a favourite of mine. I was always more of a foxtrot kind of guy, but as years have gone on, I've come to truly appreciate the magnificence of the album. It's probably the archetypal record from that period of the band. Everything works well. Okay, it's only one duff track, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Again, it's one of those, it's just so good, it's hard to talk about it. And I haven't got a script, so I did a live listen to this, which is back in the thing. It's probably up there somewhere. There's if there's a playlist, I don't know what YouTube do these days, but if you check out the live listen, some of the details I talk about on that I'm probably going to repeat now, so if there's any repetition, please forgive me. If there's anything I miss out, again, please forgive me. He's working off script, you see, and so yeah. Of course, everybody knows that the best Genesis album in the world is The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, so we'll get that out of the way. But this is the second, or the first, or the best single album by the band. Starts off with the a cappella vocals of Mr. Gabriel dancing with the Moonlit Knight. Now, what you're going to find on this record is there is an awful lot of wordplay. There's an awful lot of pun and games. It is an album from the 70s. It's like these sideburns. I have these imported from 1973, every month, these, via Time Machine. It's very much a product of its time, and again, the title itself comes from the Labour Party manifesto, and everyone's going, what's the Labour Party? Well, the left wing of politics in the UK, and there is a lot of imagery. There's a lot of things to get through with Dance with the Moonlit Knight. Again, it owes a lot. Dance with the Moonlit Knight and Cinema Show, Isle of Plenty, can be thought of as one piece, just spread across. They're all kind of the same cloth. A lot of inspiration has been taken from T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland poem. Go off, read it, educate yourself. It's the most important poem of the 20th century. And the boys ate it up and regurgitated it on this record. It's a very strange opening. Again, it's unlike anything the band had done before. Comes out of nowhere, builds up. You even get Pop Goes the Weasel. If you listen out, there's a motif. Steve Hackett plays Pop Goes the Weasel. It's an old British nursery rhyme, and again, it relates to the song. It's all about consumerism. Oh yeah, consumerism. And I'm going to pull up the lyrics because I'm going to try and talk you through them. This should be fun. So again, it's a song all about consumerism. The soldier gives away everything he wants, gives away everything he has for merchandise. We talk about Old Father Thames. Old Father Thames can also be kind of compared to the figure of Tiresias later on, a wise man, but he's drowned. Old Father Thames is drowned in his own river. Now there was an old cartoon back in the day when the Thames was so polluted that the old Father Thames was represented as a pustulant, almost a diseased character, and I like to think that kind of owes something to that cartoon. And again, England often called the land of hope and glory, but we are indulged in our empty dreams, digested England by the pound, because we're consuming. It's all about consumption. You are what you eat, you are what you wear. Wimpy dreams. Now, Wimpy is a name of a burger bar chain over here. I don't think there's many of them around now, but it's also the name of a company that constructs houses. We're currently obsessed with owning houses and land. There's a parallel. Lots of wordplay going on, and you also have a reference to medieval music with the hobby horse, and it's just everything. The Green Man, the Knights of the Round Table. Green Shield stamps. Green Shield stamps were little stamps that you used to collect, and you'd collect them in little books, and you'd hand them in and get cutlery sets and all sorts of stuff back in the 1970s. It was a promotional tool, but they use it to represent the Knights of the Round Table. Lots of imagery going on here. And yeah, The Golden Bough, that's another book that you need to check out with relation to this and Eliot's The Wasteland. I don't know where this is all coming from, my study of English back from when I was 17. So there's a lot of literary influences in this song, and that's without getting onto the music, which is all over the place. And you have Eastern influences, you have, like I say, nursery rhymes. It's just one of their most complex in terms of tonality and the way things work with it. It's one of the most complex songs. I remember when I first heard it, it was like, wow, what is this? What are you doing? This is very strange. But it all comes together. It all does come together quite nicely, but it doesn't feel like that. It feels kind of disparate, and then suddenly it all forms. And that is followed, he said, like he doesn't know, by the "I Know What I Like in Your Wardrobe," which is the single, the hit. This is based actually on the album sleeve by Betty Swanick called Dream, and she actually expanded. The original picture was more narrow, and she actually added, so you had the nice square shape for the album sleeve, which was very nice of her. And it's based on the painting. I think Gabriel saw the painting and worked out the lyrics. The main melody is from Mr. Hackett playing I think it's one of those choral sitar guitars, I believe. And it's a nice little throwaway number. It's got the mellotron noise at the beginning, representing the lawnmower. It's about sexual repression. It's about not making much of yourself. It's all those English things, lots of that have been done many times before by other bands, but Gabriel puts a peculiar spin on it, and there's also allusions to transvesticism. I know what I like in your wardrobe, not in my wardrobe, in your wardrobe. So maybe older Jacob is rifling through your knickers, a reference to Arnold Lane by the Floyd, perhaps. I don't know. I could just be talking randomly, but again, it's all these layers, and that's what's on this album. There's lots. I mean, I couldn't if I wasn't a native English speaker and a child of the 1970s, I would be very confused by this record. There's lots of things to process, but it's a nice little track, and the cosmic lawnmower noise at the beginning and end is good fun. This is followed by Firth of Fifth. Again, it's another play on words. In Scotland, you have the Forth bridge, River Forth, and so there's the Firth of Forth, which is an inlet. That looks peculiar. There's an inlet Well, they play on words with that and call it the Firth of Fifth. It's the Fifth River, and they even told a story back in the day about the Fifth River, and it doesn't exist. I don't even know why it's called that. It could have been called something else, but it's an epic piece of progressive rock. It's got everything in there. I think it's one of Tony Banks's, with Mike Rutherford helping with the words. And then you have the amazing guitar solo from Mr. Hackett. The story is about a sea nymph who's, finding his way back to the sea, I believe, and he witnesses the lives of mortal men and wonders what that's all about. It's quite an alien experience to him. So again, you have this idea of a stranger in a strange land. Again, this is a theme that's often touched by Tony Banks. Watcher of the Skies. The songs from Duke that he did, Alienation, but a strange twist on it. But like I say, it builds up lovely. You have the piano piece at the beginning, which is a little bit, I find a little bit overinflated, but it leads lovely into that lovely crescendo. Bow! It really, really hits you in the solar plexus. And then I love the guitar solo from Mr. Hackett at the end, which it makes you want to pick up the guitar, and that's when you know he's doing the right thing. This is followed by More For Me. I don't like this song. I find it a throwaway, a bit dull, and it just doesn't feel right. It feels right old clunky number. But I know a lot of you out there like it. Written by Mr. Bill Collins and Mike Rutherford whilst they're on the steps of Island Studios waiting for an appointment. And it gave Collins a chance to sing with the band, to come out from behind the drum kit when I was doing the Selling by the Pound tour, and he gets to come out in his little overalls looking like a painter and decorator. Don't mention the painter and decorator. And he does his little spot, which is all rather curious and kind of is a portent of things to come. Well, now we flip the album over. Flip. You hear drums, you hear pipes, you hear a marching band. Why? It's the Battle of Epping Forest, and I live just an arm's length away. Look, just there, I'm just touching it. There's Epping Forest there. Trust me, I wouldn't lie. But yeah, Epping Forest is just down the road, and now it comes from a cutting from the Evening Standard about the various gangs, East End gangs of criminals fighting in Epping Forest. Well, Epping Forest has been known for many, 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 many years as the dumping ground. That's where they bury the bodies. All the gangsters from the East End, the Crays and people like that. You go out for a trip in the forest, and that's where the bodies are buried. And so yeah, it's a strange place. And that's what this is based on. I mean, it's a very complicated track, too complicated. Lyrics and ideas spouting from everywhere, and it is just well, I don't know. I don't know if it works. Sometimes I think it works, and sometimes I think it doesn't. And it just, I don't know, it just feels a bit clunky. I know they dropped it from the live set because it was just too difficult to play, and I'm getting the lyrics wrong. But again, this is another one. If I can find the words, there's a lot of wordplay in it. Trying to think of. Again, I'll talk about this on the live listen. Go and listen to that. I'm not going to talk about it here. Go and listen to that. But it's an interesting piece. And again, we settle the score by tossing a coin. That's the best way. It's always the best way. Oh, the irony. Oh, the punchline. This is followed by a Steve Hackett piece called After the Ordeal. Apparently Mike Rutherford helped out on it. Again, it's another one. It's a bit of an odd one. Bit of a strange piece. Again, when I used to listen to it on the record, I felt it just felt a bit wrong. The opening section just felt really kind of lopsided. It didn't feel right. But it resolves itself well. And it was only when I saw Hackett do this with his acoustic trio, and he did a version, stripped back version of it, that I saw it worked really well. It was with his brother on flute, and Roger King on piano and himself, and it just came together a lot better. And I think they made it too complicated. I think it needed to be more stripped back. It's nice. I've liked it. It's one of those songs I've grown to like. Over the years, and it gives you a little bit of a breather before the epic play out of Cinema Show. Now this one again is based wholesale on T.S. Eliot's Wasteland, the legend, and we also have the legend of Tiresias. Right, so again, if you haven't read the Wasteland, there's a section in it where a young suitor is going out to meet his girlfriend, or his potential conquest. Yeah? But it's implied that there may be rape involved. It's a bit rapey. He basically forces himself on her, or she lets him have his way in order for the relationship to be... It's a comment on modern relationships, women giving themselves away too freely, and men using bargaining power to get what they want. It's a very, very tightly knit piece on sexual politics at the time. And Eliot's view on the mechanics of the male and female. And that's where he draws in this character of Tiresias from Greek mythology. Now, Tiresias was a seer. He was struck blind. Now, there's many versions of... Get the thing about Greek mythology, different versions of how and why these things happen. He gets struck blind. Well, there's two versions. One, he just gets struck blind, and the second version is he sees Athena bathing naked. Again, sex, nudity, and she strikes him blind for peeping. He's not doing it deliberately, it's just an accident, but he gets blinded, and so he can't see. So he spends his time wandering the countryside, giving people advice, as seers do, blind seers, and he comes across two snakes intertwined, and we can't see them, he can hear them. And he strikes them with his stick, and he ends up being turned into a woman. I don't know why. These things happen in Greek mythology. So he becomes Lady Tiresias, and for several years he lives as a woman. And apparently, again, depends on which version, he's a prostitute, and he's a very good prostitute because he knows what the lads like. You see, oh yeah, he knows what they like. Oh yeah, all that, he's very good at it, very good. And then several years down the line, he sees two snakes again intertwined, and he thinks, I better not hit them again, I better not hit them with my stick. And the gods intervene and turn him back into a man. And this is interwoven. Again, Eliot uses this in The Wasteland. The boys in Genesis think, hey, we can copy this. We don't have to do it, we can just copy it. We just change the words around, and that's what you get. That's what you get. It is a direct lift. Plagiarist bastards. That's what they are. But again, it provides a comment on love and sex at the time, and sexual politics. And Tiresias is this commentator. He's been there. He's lived it. He knows both sides of sexual psyche, and that's the thing. That's just the lyrics. Then he got the music, and the music again is some great stuff. The last section, worked out by Banks, Collins, Rutherford. Very jazzy, very good stuff. And again, Tony Banks' soloing is why I prefer him as a keyboardist over Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman, because he just does interesting stuff. It's not flowery and full of frippery. It's functional, and it works, and it just fits nicely. It works. And it's very good. And when they do the live version, very, very powerful, especially when you've got the two drummers. Always love the recording with Bill Bruford when he's hammering away. And that leads us into Isle of Plenty, which is a reprise of Dancing with the Moonlit Knight. Similar chord structure, similar themes. The two songs dovetail the album, bookends the album. Isle of Plenty. It's a play on words again. Isle, as in an island, or aisle as in an aisle, shopping aisle. See? Pun and games. And what Gabriel does with the lyrics is he draws in all the supermarkets of the time. Oh yeah, so we have Tesco, the Co-op, Safeway, Fine Fair. Don't have Sainsbury's. Couldn't fit Sainsbury's in there, could he? But I like, again, what I like about it is when he says about the oh, hell, oh. The monotony of just going, oh, hello. But he breaks it down into the ho, hell, ho. It's nightmarish. The repetition of greeting someone with small talk. And I love, just in that one line, in that one bit, Gabriel shows you, the what for. He gets to the bones of it, and I really like that line. It's just, I know it's crazy. It's just one, it's just crazy, but I like the way he does it. And then the song ends with a list of products for sale, and it's all scrambled eggs, apparently. And so again, we go back to the theme of consumerism trapped in the supermarket. Again, it's a theme that he revisits in Have a Wonderful Day in a One-Way World on Pete Gabriel 2. Because again, in the old days, supermarkets, you had one entrance and one exit, and it was a one-way world. You had to go in, and there was like a little track that almost like a track. Now you can go in and out the same exit. They've got rid of that. Most supermarkets, you have just one big exit and entrance. But in the old days, you had an entrance and an exit, and you had to go like around the aisles and then to the checkouts and out. So it's all very pre-programmed and like a little mice in a maze. That's what he was kind of referring to. So yeah, that's it. We're kind of at the end of it, and I've done a great big talk, and this is going to take forever to encode and upload. But so yeah, I mean, I think it really is the archetypal Genesis album. It's got everything in there. It's very English. Remember what I say about progressive rock being, British from a certain time. This wholly backs up what I say about prog rock. This is it. It brings in elements of poetry, classical music, choral music, medieval themes, you name it. It's all drawn in. There's loads of different references there. I mean, you could probably go off and write a book about this thing. It's just so deep and dense, culturally and musically. There's a lot there. And if you compare it to what Yes were doing, or anyone else, what they're doing comes across as a bit one-dimensional, and this isn't. And this is why Genesis will always be one of my favourites, because I love T.S. Eliot, I love The Wasteland, and this. I mean, I was reading Eliot and The Wasteland, and then this comes along, and I think, wait a minute, it's all linked, and I love the links. Everything's linked, and that's that. It gets 5 lawnmowers out of 5, but then you already knew that. And that's it. My name's been Darren Locke. I've been doing an extra long special about Selling England by the Pound, 40th anniversary today, this very day. Go and put the record on and listen to it. And I'm going to sign out now before the dog starts making a noise. The washing machine's going, the dog's making a noise. I can hear the kids. They're going to start going off on one. So I better wind this up. Thumbs up. Do all the stuff, social media, you know what you've got to do, and I'm off. Only one more thing to say, and that is, prog on! You better believe it.